So we're about to start a week-long vacation with the Medicine Buddha. Okay, so see it as a vacation. You're going on holiday, yeah, and your companion is the Medicine Buddha. A Medicine Buddha is a very good companion. Okay, he's not going to complain. Yeah, he's not going to bother you at all. In fact, he's going to encourage you in doing what in your heart you want to do and encourage you for what in your heart, who in your heart you want to be. Okay, so we'll be doing the meditation on the Medicine Buddha and creating that relationship with him. And I'll talk a little bit later on about who the Medicine Buddha is and, how to do the meditation and so on. And so that'll probably mostly in the mornings, we'll be talking about the Medicine Buddha. And then for the morning teaching at this time. And then in the afternoon teaching at 4:00, will be from Nagarjuna's letter to a friend. So that's a text that he wrote to one king, maybe the same king that he wrote to for Precious Garland. They don't really know. But it has a lot of very useful information on how to set up a Dharma practice and how to continue our Dharma practice and what is important to focus on in a spiritual practice. So we'll be talking about that text too. So we have people here for the retreat. We have people online. You'll have quite different experiences. So, because when you're living here at the Abbey is the home of the monastics. You have an opportunity to join in our lifestyle for a week. Okay, we're not a retreat center. We're not a retreat center with a staff that caters to guests. That's very important. We are a monastery, and then we open the doors for other people who want to come and practice with us. Okay, so it's very different. Yeah. So don't come here expecting a retreat center with staff that's going to run around and do everything. We ask that everybody contribute because it's all of our home for the next week. Okay, so when we do the chanting, we visualize in the space in front the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, surrounded by other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And we imagine ourselves surrounded by all living beings. Now, while we're using our imagination, to some extent, this is really the way it is. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are here. They exist. We can't see them with our eyes, but they're there. And all sentient beings, we live in a world where we're constantly in interaction with other sentient beings. So again, we can't see all of them, but we exist in relationship to them. So there's nowhere in the universe where we can go where we're not in relationship to other sentient beings. So that's something really to think about. Yeah, we cannot get away from other living beings. So the path is not about, these sentient beings are driving me crazy. I want to be alone. Get out of here. Because we always exist surrounded by others, in relationship to others. Sometimes closer, sometimes more distant. But always in some kind of relationship. And so our Dharma practice is done also with the thought of other living beings. Yeah? And that's why it's so important that we have the motivation of compassion. So spiritual practice is not about escaping from others or from the world. It's about transforming our mind so that whatever situation we're in, we can see it with reality as it actually is, and we can act with kindness and compassion in it. So in our visualization, the holy beings are in front, all other living beings around us. And we are aware that other living beings want happiness and not suffering. And so we imagine that we're leading them in turning to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for spiritual guidance. And we're leading them in generating the thoughts expressed in the different recitations. Okay, so go into some breathing meditation. Again, letting your breath, the flow of your breath, be quite natural without forcing it. And simply being aware of your breath. Your breath is the object of your focus. And if you get distracted by a sound or a thought or a physical sensation, just notice that. Don't make a fuss about it, but bring your focus back to the breath. And in this way, the mind relaxes and can abandon extraneous thoughts. Then let's cultivate our motivation. So recalling that we're always in relationship to all living beings, then it is up to us to create a good relationship with them in our own minds. We may not be able to change their minds and how they look at us, but we can alter how we look at them. And remembering that they all want happiness and not want suffering, we can find something that we have in common with each and every living being. So they may have other actions, other habits that we don't like. They may say and do things that we don't like. That's not the issue here. The issue is our attitude towards them. Because in order to have compassion for them, if we had to wait until they never do anything that we don't like, then we'd be waiting without end. So we have to look beyond people's outer appearance and look into their heart and see what it is that really makes them tick, which is their wish for happiness and not suffering, which is exactly the same wish that we have. So when we really tune into that, then it becomes difficult to separate ourselves out from others. They're bad, they're negative, they're horrible, or they're desirable, they're wonderful, they're fantastic. We don't go to those extremes, but see everybody equally and equal to us as well. And so in that way, create a feeling of compassion, wishing others to be free of suffering, just as you wish yourself to be free of suffering. And wish others to be free of the cause of suffering as well, especially their afflicted mental states, the wrong views, the disturbing emotions. And to bring that about, then we have to free ourselves from wrong views and disturbing emotions. We have to develop our potential to its utmost so that we can really be effective in being of benefit to living beings. And so develop the aspiration for full awakening so that we can really contribute to the welfare of others with a compassionate mind. So sometimes we may think, to develop our potential to be of great benefit and lead others on the path. And then another thought sneaks in our mind. I'm going to lead them on the path, which means I'm going to correct all of their mistakes and bad qualities. So now's my chance to tell everybody what I don't like about them because they really have all these negative qualities. And if they're going to practice the path, they have to change. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah. In other words, the mind of, I'm going to fix people, but I'm doing it out of compassion. I have so much compassion for them that I'm going to fix them. That's not compassion. Okay. That's because in compassion, there has to be some acceptance of where people are at. When we want to fix people, basically what we want to do is make them become what we want them to become so that our lives are happier. So that's not altruistic. That's quite self-centered, isn't it? Yeah, you have all these bad habits, and I'm going to help you overcome them. Of course, I don't have any bad habits myself. So I'm going to dedicate my life to helping you change and become what I think you should be. And so then, of course, we have advice for everybody. Yeah? Not that we follow the advice that we have for other people, but they should follow it. Okay? So, this kind of hypocrisy, yeah, that's what it is, we're very famous for this. And the thing is that we can't fool the natural laws of the universe. And like when we talk about karma, action, and our actions bring effects, that's a natural law, like gravity, okay? So we may pretend to be compassionate, but when we're actually picking faults at other people and trying to control them, we may look good to other people, but actually our mental state is not a virtuous one. So we have to be careful about that. Yeah, because I don't know about you, but I have lots of advice for everybody. Do you have advice for the people in your life? Yeah. The people you see every day, just things they should be aware of and change so that our lives would be happier. Yeah. And of course, with family members, Yes, we love our parents, but now we have advice for our parents and what they should do and what they should not do. And they don't want to listen to us, just like we didn't want to listen to them. Okay. So it doesn't mean we don't try and help people. We do, but we have to help without a judgmental, critical mind. Okay, and without the underlying thing of I'm going to make people be what I want them to be so that I'll be happier. It's hard. If it were easy, we would have done it long, long time ago. But it's hard. Yeah. Okay, now to talk a little bit about how we're going to live together this week on our vacation with Medicine Buddha. Okay, so now I'm telling you how to be, okay? Actually, I'm not telling you. This is guidelines the Buddha set down, okay? It's not rules. Buddha did not say, thou shalt not or else. Yeah, Buddha said, if you want to live harmoniously with people, these are guidelines to do it. if you want to feel good about your own actions, these are the things to abandon. If you want to create the cause for happiness and abandon the cause of suffering, these are the things to do and not do. How does the Buddha know that? Because his mind, he purified his mind completely, and so then he could see with his supernormal power, when people experience happiness, what are the actual causes of that happiness, not the superficial causes. And when they experience suffering, what are the real causes of the misery, not the superficial ones? So he was able to see that, and then he described it to us. So the Buddha did not make up the path. Yeah, and the Buddha did not say, thou shalt do this or shalt not. And the Buddha does not reward us or punish us. Okay? So these are all very Judeo-Christian theistic ideas that you may have been raised with and that may have snuck into your way of viewing the world without your even knowing it. So be careful about those. And when those ideas come up, really look at them and ask yourself, is this true? Yeah? Is there somebody out there rewarding and punishing me? Okay? And then, think about just cause and effect. When you create a cause brings an effect. So similarly with our actions, when we do actions, they have an ethical component that brings an effect. Yeah? Okay, so here are the guidelines that the Buddha suggested that we follow. They're often called the 5 precepts. Some people take them for life. We'll be having at the end of the retreat a ceremony for people who want to do that. But at least for the duration of the retreat, we all will try to live within the 5 precepts. So the first one is not killing. Yeah. So, I don't think anybody here plans to kill anybody else here. But also the bugs. Yeah, be careful with the bugs. And, if they're around, take them outside gently. They want to live just like we do. Okay, and we share the land with a lot of other living beings. Yeah, in fact, there's more of them than us. Yeah. So, to not harm them and to not harm anybody, not just killing, but harm others physically, any kind of physical gesture that could harm somebody, And when we have that intention and live by that intention, then other people can trust us because they feel that, no matter what's going on, physically they're safe. And that feeling of safety is quite important for us. Okay? And so we are the ones who create the feeling of safety for ourselves and for others. Yeah. And like I said, it builds trust. And trust is such an important element of relationship, isn't it? That we trust that others will not harm us. Mm-hmm. And when we can't trust that, then we do not feel comfortable. Yeah. And when we don't feel comfortable, our mind gets very afflictive. Yeah. And then we start acting out from our afflictions instead of from our good qualities. Okay. The second guideline is not to take other people's stuff that's not offered to us. Okay. So it's usually called don't steal. But when we say don't steal, we think, well, okay, I'm not going to put on a mask, the robber's mask, not the mask you're supposed to wear. But I'm not going to do that and break into somebody else's house. So I don't steal. But at your workplace, do you use things that are meant for carrying out the job for your own personal concerns? If your company gives you a credit card, do you take your family out to dinner on it? Okay. This is what's going on in the news with with Trump and Alan Weisselberg, using things that are meant for the business, for your own personal concerns. Okay, not paying fees or taxes that we're supposed to pay. This is, again, what that suit is about. Okay. So all these things are considered stealing. Also, and this is something that's much easier for us to do, is we borrow things and then don't return them. Yeah. So it's interesting. Go home and look around in your house at what you've borrowed from other people that doesn't really belong to you. And we think, oh, I don't do that. Yeah. But it's been quite interesting sometimes, because the people who come here, nobody wants to steal from the Abbey. But sometimes when we've been at people's homes and look on their bookshelf, there's a book with an Abbey sticker on it that came from our library. And I don't know, the person just forgot, or they were going to borrow it for a while and give it back, but it never made it back to our library. Okay. So, not repaying when we borrow money from somebody, not repaying that. Okay. So, we can borrow things, when you're living here, that are out for common use, the tea, the things on the snack counter, but the things in the kitchen are not for common use. Okay. Only when they're put out here or put out at the meals, then we can take them. So we don't go into the refrigerator and take all the good stuff we like. Yeah, unless you have special permission for that. Okay, but normally we don't do that. We can use all the cleaning things around and the soap and the hand lotion that are out on in the bathroom, but we don't use other supplies. Or if you need supplies for cleaning, ask somebody where they are and get the permission to use them. Okay. Some of you during the break time may want to help in the garden, and there are tools for that. Who's kind of looking over that? Yeah, so Venerable Sepel will help you with that, and she'll show you where the tools are and where to put them back when you're done, and you can enjoy puttering, okay, and picking weeds. Then the third one normally is to avoid sexual misconduct, meaning unkind or unwise sexual contact. Okay, so in a general sense, what that means is if you're in a relationship, don't go with somebody else, or even if you're single, don't go with somebody who's in a relationship. And don't think that it's okay to do it because nobody else will find out, because people do find out. And your kids find out. And then you have big problems. Okay. Here in the retreat, there's no sexual conduct at all. Okay. So that creates just an environment where you don't have to worry about how you look. So, no perfume, no jewelry, nothing to make you look better. Okay. You just wear ordinary clothes. You walk in an ordinary way. If you're doing walking meditation, you don't look at and see if some good looking person is doing walking meditation nearby you. Yeah. So there's none of that kind of vibe here. And that is really freeing for the mind because you can just relax and be with other people without all this trip that goes on when people are sexually attracted to each other. Okay. So that's here at the Abbey, like that. Okay. Then the fourth one is speaking truthfully and not lying. Again, we can see, what's happening in this country when people lie. I mean, it's tearing the whole country apart, isn't it? Yeah, and creating so much discord. So, we may say, well, I don't lie like that. But, my lies are not meant to harm anybody. I just kind of alter small things so that other people's feelings don't get hurt. Right? Yeah, I just have little white lies, and they're done out of compassion so that other people don't get hurt. That's what we tell ourselves. What is often going on is, I don't want to tell the truth because if other people find out, they're going to be very upset with me. Okay, so this is kind of a Bill Clinton thing. Yeah, he embodies it. You have to excuse me. I use our political leaders and leaders in the society as examples for a lot of Dharma teachings because I assume people are familiar with it, and because they do things that are such good examples of what we're talking about. So usually with lying, it's double trouble because there's an initial thing that you don't want somebody to find out about. And then there's the lie on top of that. So there's two non-virtues, mixed into one milkshake here. Yeah. So the first one, we did something, you can ask Bill Clinton what he did, but he didn't do anything. What was it? I didn't have sex with that woman. I remember I was doing retreat then. I went into retreat and this whole thing was happening. I came out of retreat 3 months later. It was still going on. Same old thing, and it's like, okay, you do something. You don't want people to find out about it. Then you lie. Yeah. And then people find out about it anyway. And then it just creates so much commotion in our personal relationships. Or, if you lie in an office situation in your work, it creates problems. Yeah. Often when I'm in Singapore, people will ask about this and they'll say, but my boss told me to lie. And I don't want to lie. What do I do? And I say, quit your job and get another job. What? I can't quit my job? Well, what's more important, your job or your ethical conduct? Yeah. What's more important in your life? So, if your boss tells you to lie, you just say, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, abandoning lying does not mean that you tell everybody everything and don't keep confidence about anything and give people all the details that they don't want to hear. Okay. So there's ways of phrasing things where you are not lying, but you're also not ruffling feathers. Okay? And, the example I very often give, and this is a good example. Okay, your grandma invites you over for dinner. Yeah. And grandma makes some food that you cannot stand. Yeah. And she invited you over. You have to eat something. Yeah. So you're sitting there eating this food that you don't like, that doesn't taste good. And grandma says, how do you like the food? Okay. So what are you going to do? Say, well, I don't like, Grandma, this food stinks. Don't ever cook this stuff when you invite me over. That's not so good to say. But what is grandma really meaning when she says, how do you like the food? What she's really saying is, I care for you, and I made this food to show you that I love you. Are you receiving my gift of love? That's what she's really asking. So when she says, how do you like the food? You say, I really appreciate your inviting me over to eat, and I know you worked very hard today to cook this food, but I love spending the time with you. Okay? So you don't talk about the quality of the food, because really that's not what she cares about. Rather, what you're doing is you're addressing directly the thing that she does care about, which is, do you know that I love you? That's what she's asking. So you answer that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so another way in which we kind of lie is we exaggerate things. Yeah. So this is also, often we say, everybody thinks like this. Well, no, it's not really everybody. But hopefully most people will understand when we say everybody, we don't mean everybody. But it's probably better if we don't say everybody when we don't mean everybody. Okay. But also watch how you talk to yourself. And if you make very black and white comments to yourself that are not true. Okay. So, you drop a dish and it breaks. And we say to ourselves, God, I can't do anything right around here. I come here and I drop a dish and it breaks. And I'm always messing up in one way or another. Okay. Now, is that true? I always am messing up in one way or another? Always? That's an exaggeration. That's not true. Okay. Somebody criticizes you. Oh, I can't, nobody loves me. Nobody understands me. Is that true? Absolutely nobody cares about us. Nobody understands us. That's not true. We all have people who care about us. Okay, so be careful of the self-talk, because very often in our self-talk, we are lying to ourselves. Yeah, and it's really important, that we don't overestimate our problems, and we don't overestimate our good qualities either, that we develop the ability to see ourselves honestly. And not be so reactive, like, oh, I have bad qualities. That's horrible. Or I have good qualities. I'm better than everybody else. Okay, we have faults. We work on them. We have good qualities. We use them to benefit others. We don't have to make a big deal about either of those. Okay? And then the last of the 5. Okay? And often this is the one people, there's certain ones that people really don't like, and this is one of them. Okay? Not taking intoxicants. What? What? What's wrong with a little bit of wine? When I go visit my family, everybody's drinking. It's just wine. Wine isn't that intoxicating. If I don't drink, wine with my family, they're going to all think I'm prudish. And then they'll think that Buddhism is prudish. And they'll have a bad idea of Buddhism. And you don't want them to have that, do you? So I've got to drink some wine. Or you're going to a party and all my friends are drinking. Everybody's drinking there. What do you want me to do? Say I want grape juice instead? Everybody's drinking. And again, if I don't drink, I'm going to be out of it and everybody's going to stare at me and they're all going to talk about, oh, so-and-so's antisocial. They're not drinking, Or everybody lights up a joint. And you say, no, thank you. What? Oh, you used to smoke with us. What's the story going on now? Are you being a perfect Buddhist? And, we want to fit in with everybody. Okay, so we tell our children, do not go according to peer pressure. Don't be influenced just because your friends say or do something. Don't be influenced. But what do you do as the parent? You just follow peer pressure yourself. Yeah, your friends are drinking, you drink. Your friends light up, you light up. Because you don't want to feel out of it. And so many people tell me this, that I sometimes wonder at parties if maybe nobody wants to drink and drug, but they're all doing it because they think everybody else wants them to. Yeah. And maybe it could actually help some other people if we say no thank you, because there's probably other people who are trying to quit their habits too, and to know that there's somebody else there who's not drinking and drugging gives them encouragement. Okay. This also includes misusing prescribed medicine. Okay. If you have a prescription under the care of the doctor, use your meds. Okay. Don't decide to go off of them. Take your meds. But don't go back for prescriptions when you don't need them. And don't buy stuff on the black market and so on, because that's the whole source of the opioid crisis, isn't it? Yeah. So misusing prescribed medicines is included in the intoxicant precept. Yeah. Then people are going to say, but what's wrong with getting intoxicated? What is it? What? Ayahuasca. Is that, am I saying? I can never say these things. Yeah. Okay, ayahuasca. But other people use it and they have good experiences. So why can't I do that? Well, it's a free world. If you really want to do that, go ahead. But that's not part of spiritual practice according to Buddhism, because you're altering the state of your mind. And do you really, in spiritual practice, we're trying to learn how to assess virtuous and non-virtuous mental states, what to practice, what to abandon. Yeah. When we're intoxicated, can we do that well? Yeah. Can you do it well? Think about it. Okay. Think about the things that you've done under the influence of whatever you've taken. Yeah. During one retreat, we did this. Everybody gave an example of things that they did while intoxicated, and how they feel about those things now. It was a very interesting retreat. Some of you were there, I think, yeah. But if you think about it, sometimes, I mean, the things we've done when we're intoxicated are often the things we wish we hadn't done. Or, we put ourselves in very dangerous situations because we are intoxicated. Okay. But then people say, but I'm not going to get intoxicated. I'm just choosing a little bit to relax. Right? Right? Yeah. Just a little bit to relax. It's not intoxication. Yeah. But how do you know you're intoxicated until you have taken too much? Yeah. Why do we, how about developing the ability to help yourself relax? Yeah, where you yourself, without the need of some extra substance, can guide your own mind and body to relax. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So we work on that. We work on that. Okay. So those 5 precepts, they are guides to help us live together in harmony. Yeah, when we respect each other physically, people feel safe. When we don't take things that don't belong to us without asking, again, people feel safe. They can leave their stuff wherever they leave it, and they know that nobody else is going to take it. Somebody may turn it into the lost and found, yeah, but nobody's going to steal it. And so on, abandoning, unwise and unkind sexual behavior, again, creates a feeling of safety. When we know people don't lie to us and when we don't lie to them, safety. We don't take intoxicants, so we're not going to do the previous 4. That's what happens with the intoxicants, yeah, is that our judgment gets impaired and we wind up doing other things that create harm. Okay. So here we're talking about ethical conduct, yeah, and ethical conduct is a very big, it's part of the foundation of our Dharma practice. And it's going to come up when we start on a letter to a friend this afternoon. Yeah, because, and there's various levels of ethical conduct that Buddhist practitioners have, but it all helps us to refrain from harm. So it's the basis of spiritual practice. I don't like the word morality. That has kind of a certain flavor to me. I prefer ethical conduct. But even if you don't like the term ethical conduct, a more relaxed, a more contemporary way of putting ethical conduct is stop being a jerk. Okay? So it's like, okay, I'm going to stop being a jerk. Because, when I do certain actions, I am being a jerk. And I'm harming others and I'm harming myself. And what am I proving to the world? Nothing, except that I'm a jerk and I'm tired of being a jerk. Okay? So getting our ethical conduct together is a process of leaving jerkness behind us. Okay? And then we also have less remorse, less regret, less guilt. Yeah. And that just makes for a much more peaceful mind. which makes it easier to concentrate when we meditate. Okay, so that's the framework for living together. Yeah. And, practice it also when you leave here. It makes a big difference in your relationships. Yeah. Makes a very big difference. Okay, now about the Medicine Buddha practice. Well, first, before we get into that, any questions or comments about what I've said so far? Nothing. Usually there's but why can't I? As if I'm going to give people permission. I don't give permission or take away permission. People are adults. You can, decide for yourself. But I do share the Buddha's advice. Okay, so when we're doing the Medicine Buddha practice, we're not worshiping some external God. Okay, we're not taking God with his long beard away and putting in Medicine Buddha. Okay, so it's a different kind of relationship. Yeah. So Medicine Buddha, one way to see Medicine Buddha is as the manifestation of the excellent qualities that we want to develop and cultivate in ourselves. Okay, so the excellent qualities may be internal qualities, but they get expressed externally, in body language. So if you look at the painting of Medicine Buddha, he's sitting there very peacefully. Yeah. He doesn't look like one of the guys on a poster advertising an action movie. Yeah. When you look at one of the ads for an action movie, and like half the time, who are the figures in the action movies? Batman and Spider-Man and, all these other people that Hollywood makes look kind of scary or supposed to look scary or whatever. Okay, when you look at things like that, or you look at Rambo, some of you are too young to remember Rambo. Some of you are old enough like me and we remember Rambo, okay. Or John Wayne. Oh, God. Okay. So when you look at this, you get a certain feeling, don't you? Yeah. When you look at how Medicine Buddha is sitting, you get another feeling, don't you? Yeah. He doesn't look scary, like in some of the movies where we're being invaded by, who knows what. Yeah. He's sitting there completely content and peaceful. Yeah. He's not sitting there, grasping for some object of attachment. He's not sitting there making faces and judging other people. He's not sitting there feeling sorry for himself. He's just sitting there being peaceful. Okay. And, in his hands, in his left hand, he's holding a bowl with the one herb called aurora. And it's kind of the basis of a lot of Tibetan medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. I don't know what you call it in English. But we can think of it as, other kinds of medicines with no bad side effects. Okay, so it's not like the medicine Buddha has. Nowadays, you're sick, you get a medicine prescribed for your illness, and then you get 2 more medicines prescribed to counteract the bad side effects of the original medicine that was prescribed for your illness. Okay, so medicine Buddha nothing has any bad side effects. Yeah. And so we can think of, healing medicine. And when we talk about the Buddha being medicine Buddha or healing Buddha, okay, it doesn't necessarily mean physical medicine, okay, or physical healing, but also mental, emotional healing. Okay, mental, emotional medicine, which is transforming our mind, learning the antidotes to the afflictions. Okay, so the Buddha, has that ability. That's his brand, okay? Yeah. And then his right hand, is holding a branch of the aurora plant too. So it's all symbolizing healing. Yeah. And it makes us think, what does healing mean? What is the meaning of healing? Okay. So what is, usually physical healing, we think that, your injury, it heals and you can do what you did before. But sometimes we can't do what we did before after an injury. But we can still heal from the injury. What does healing mean in that case? Yeah. When we have psychologically difficulties, what does it mean to heal from those? Yeah. Because I think healing so much depends on internally healing, because so many of our psychological problems, some are due to chemical imbalances in the brain or in the body, but many of them are due simply to how we look at the situation. And I think also many psychological problems are due to not keeping good ethical conduct. Because when we don't keep good ethical conduct, we have remorse, we feel guilty, we blame ourselves, okay? We spend a lot of time rationalizing, justifying, suppressing, repressing, all these kind of psychological methods, to avoid owning up to the real situation is. And I think healing involves just being able to see things clearly without so much reactivity to them. Mm-hmm. And, when we've made mistakes in our lives, then we do purification practice to purify the what we call karmic seeds left on our mind, the energy traces of our negative actions that will influence what we experience in our lives. So we do purification practice that helps us clear ourselves spiritually and mentally and emotionally. Okay, and that can also have an effect on the body. And healing from the body can also positively affect the mind. Okay, so to really spend some time, this could be a good theme for one of the discussion groups in the afternoon. What does healing mean? Yeah. Yeah. And when you have a bad disease and you get better, have you healed from it, even though there's still problems? What does healing mean? And what components of healing are physical and what components occur in our own mind? Okay, but you can see the medicine Buddha is representing that. Okay, he's dressed in the robes of a monastic, showing that his focus is on his spiritual life. He's not out to make a name for himself. Yeah, and get a corner office. Can you imagine going into a corner office for an interview and there's the medicine Buddha sitting behind the desk? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Yeah. And his eyes are open and he's looking at us. So he's there, wanting to help. And it's up to us to, he's being open and receptive. It's up to us, for our part, to be open and receptive and to help create the relationship with Medicine Buddha. He's seated on a lotus and a flat moon disk. The lotus represents renunciation of our constantly recurring difficulties in our constantly recurring rebirths. Okay, so renunciation doesn't mean going to live in a cave and eating nettles. It means staying at the Abbey and eating nettles. No, I'm joking. We have nettle bushes around here, and they've become the latest thing for us to eat and have tea and so on, right? This is our queen of nettles. So, yeah. The renunciation doesn't mean torturing the body. What we're renouncing is not pleasure and happiness. We're renouncing misery. We're renouncing attachment, anger, and ignorance, those three poisonous minds we talked about last night. That's what we're renouncing. So that's symbolized by the lotus, because the lotus is a flower. The roots are in the mud, but it grows out of the mud, and it's very beautiful. Okay, so you're in the world with all the muddy stuff in the world, but your mind grows out as something beautiful. And the moon disk represents the cooling energy of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is that aspiration to become fully awakened for the benefit of all beings. That's the motivation we create. We generate before every session and before all of our activities. Okay, and the bodhicitta, is often it's a cooling mind. Yeah, it's associated with the moon because the moon has very cooling energy. So when we have love and compassion and altruism towards others, our mind is cool. Our mind is relaxed. The sun, which you'll see some deities are sitting on the sun represents wisdom, the bright, wide awake mind. Yeah, that is wise and can clearly discern things. Okay. The blue color of the medicine Buddha. Blue is a relaxing color, isn't it? Yeah, he is not bright red. Yeah, he's not some kind of bright pink or chartreuse or something like that. He's blue, very relaxing. Yeah. So by the physical appearance of medicine Buddha, we get some idea about the qualities of his mind. Now, all the Buddhas have the same qualities, okay, but they show their qualities in different ways. So it's not that a deity who's red is not peaceful and only the dark blue deities are peaceful, The deities who are red have those same qualities as all the Buddhas, but they are showing those qualities in a different way. And depending on other aspects of that deity, the red may symbolize different things. Okay. So when we visualize the medicine Buddha, think of the qualities that he has and how you would like to generate those qualities. And think of the qualities of the enlightened beings, with their infinite acceptance and non-judgment, with their infinite wisdom. And so, think of the qualities you admire, generosity, fortitude, whatever. And here it is appearing in this physical form. So it's similar to how an artist may have different feelings inside and paint something that expresses in physical form what's going on inside. So the different figures are expressing their qualities in that physical form. Okay. So you'll notice Medicine Buddha is not sitting like this. If Medicine Buddha had his arms like this, what would you think? What do you get from this body language? Yeah, being closed off. Yeah, self-protective. Closed. It could also have a power thing too, couldn't it? A certain element of power. So Medicine Buddha is not sitting like that. He's like this, open, receptive. So watch your own body language and, be attuned to how your body is sitting or standing or walking or whatever, because that's expressing something about what's going on inside of you. So we get lots of cues about what's going on with people if we are observant of their body language. Okay. If any of you watched the not the trial, the sentencing of Derek Chauvin, and you watched his body language, he had very specific body language that gave out a certain vibe, so to speak, that told you how he was feeling. Most of the time, he was sitting like this. Stone face. While the Floyd family was talking about what the death of their brother meant to them. What does that body language mean? Shut down. I don't care. This is not influencing me. I've put up a wall. Okay? Sometimes when people were speaking, his eyes were like this. His eyes were going back and forth, darting eyes. What does that mean? He's afraid. He's trying to look not afraid. I don't care. Walled off. But he's afraid. When his mother started speaking and saying what a nice, kind man he was, he looked like this. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah, he felt quite ashamed of himself. Yeah. So he didn't have to say a word, but he was telling us what was going on inside of him. Okay. So in the same way, the physical appearance of these different Buddhas tells us something about internal qualities. Yeah. And so to watch how we're sitting too, because that shows what we're feeling. What happens? You're sitting like this. What does this mean? Yeah, sleeping. Yeah. I'm not paying attention, or it could mean I don't feel well, or it could mean I don't feel good about myself. My head is down. Okay. Yeah. When you stand with your hand on your hip, what does that mean? Or what about both hands on your hip?
Listen and obey.
Yeah. Okay, kid, this is mom speaking and you're doing this, or dad speaking and you listen and obey. Okay, so, we communicate in many, many different ways. So if we can learn to observe well, we can learn a lot about other people. And if we become more aware of our own body language, we can become aware of also what we're communicating to others. And not just body language, but our voice. Okay. Do you have noticed that some people, their voice changes when they're upset? Yeah. Sometimes the volume goes way up. Yeah. And that clearly can indicate anger. But also sometimes the volume doesn't change, but the tone of the voice changes. Yeah. Or I'm sure we all notice, did your parents have the look? Yeah. Your parents, could be on the other side of the room, but you just happened to look at them and you got the look and you knew exactly what it meant. Okay. Don't have to speak at all. So we communicate a lot in different ways. Yeah. So if we want to learn how to benefit others, we need to be able to tune into what they're saying, not only verbally, but what they're saying through the tone of voice and their physical expression. When I was teaching in Israel, there was one young man who came to the teachings, and he had been involved in some of the operations in Lebanon. This was many years ago, so undercover operations going into Lebanon that were extremely dangerous and, and also harmful to others. So I was asking him about that because I like to understand people and their experiences. And he was telling me about it. And as he was telling me about it, he was smiling like this. Okay. And he was smiling. And, we got off the plane. We did this and this. Da, da, da. He's smiling. Okay. To me, that didn't mean he enjoyed it. Not at all. It means he wasn't able to deal with it. And, was putting on a good face because he hasn't made peace with what that whole operation meant and his participation in it. Okay, so even though he was talking one way and saying one thing, yeah, his voice, his facial expression was saying something else. Okay, so it's something, to be self-aware of, because often we think, oh, I'm just presenting like this, and then we'll get some feedback from somebody else about our voice or how we were looking or our body. What are you talking about? No, that's not what I meant. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. I didn't feel that. But we were. Okay. So it gives us also information about ourselves to just check in, What's my voice doing? What am I saying? How am I saying it? What's my body language? Yeah. What's my facial expression? Am I talking real fast because I have to get it out because I feel everybody is going to cut me off? Or do I talk in a loud voice so that everybody pays attention to me because I think I'm really important? Yeah. So, very interesting. Okay. Again, questions or comments? So try and, tune in to the image of the medicine Buddha and look at his background too. Yeah, he's in a place that's very lovely, that's very calming. Yeah, he's not in the middle of downtown Manhattan. Yeah, or even downtown Portland. Or even downtown Newport. Okay. And there's no fireworks going off in the background. Yeah. And yeah. Okay. Anything else?